Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I want to talk to you guys about the book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian Season 3, and the future of Star Wars on Disney Plus, and just everything that we've learned since yesterday. So basically what ended up happening is, of course, if you looked at the after credits sequence of the final episode of Season 2 for The Mandalorian, you saw Boba Fett go to Jabba's palace and he shot Bib Fortuna and he took the throne, and then it said the book of Boba Fett coming December of 2021. And to be honest with you guys, I completely missed this after credits sequence because I was so jazzed about what I had just watched that I assumed it was over, and I immediately went and recorded my little review of it. And so I had to later on, I actually watched it when I saw people on Twitter saying that there was an after credits sequence. I was like, oh, what? Anyways, so this did cause some confusion among some people. Now there is specifically one scooper, literally one, out of all the scoopers, the dozens and dozens of scoopers that there are, many of which do have legitimacy. There's only one person who keeps on with this weird narrative about all the drama behind the scenes of Pedro Pascal and all this stuff. And basically what ended up happening is that, and I covered this in a video of my own, Grace Randolph kept on pushing this story that there was this huge drama about Pedro Pascal and he stormed off set for season 2, and there was supposed to be this big mid-season shift because he wasn't there to finish filming. And obviously that ended up not being true at all. There was no mid-season shift. He took his helmet off several times throughout the season. Everything seems fine. There's literally not a shred of evidence that what she is saying is true. And as I've said before, many other credible scoopers are saying no, she's wrong. So there's that. But basically what ended up happening is that some of the confusion was caused by her again, because this book of Boba Fett thing showed up, and she literally went out that day and started saying how the book of Boba Fett is replacing Mandalorian Season 3, and this proves that there's still all this drama between Pedro Pascal and the producers, because this is like their warning to him that, oh, we can replace you with Boba Fett or something. And everyone was confused. Everyone's like, oh my god, is this Boba Fett show the replacement of Mandalorian Season 3? Is this basically Mando 3 now? Is there no more Mandalorian because this big drama that Grace Randolph keeps talking about? So of course Jon Favreau goes on Good Morning America and he clarifies, no, the Boba Fett show is an entirely different show. There is going to be a Mandalorian Season 3. And we're just gonna get into it, but I had to be upfront with that stuff because Grace Randolph, as I've said this whole time, you can go find that video, that story is bullshit. Okay, Grace Randolph does have sources that do sometimes tell her real things. Okay, so she's not like an outright fraud, but she bends the truth, and she spices up whatever, she basically makes a mountain out of a molehill. She sexies up a story, that way it can be this big headline when really there's like no story there. And when she gets caught in these situations where it's very obvious to many people that she was just wrong, where your normal scooper would just say, oh, I guess I got that one wrong, sorry guys, that's on me, Grace Randolph refuses to take the L. And so now we're just in this situation where she will bend and twist stuff that is obviously not in her favor, but she'll somehow twist it to say, no, see, this points to this, and this means this, and this, and just as any scooper, she's got her supporters, and they will defend that no matter what. But anyways, all this to say, that story is bogus. It's been bogus the whole time. We're going to talk about what's actually happening, the real truth here, and we'll keep on going. So Jon Favreau goes on Good Morning America and he explains the whole situation, what's actually going on. So we wanted to hold this back because we didn't want to spoil the surprise during the big Disney announcement for all the shows, which we have discussed, the big investor announcement where they They revealed like 9 different TV shows. He says, and so they let me keep this one secret. This is actually separate from The Mandalorian Season 3, thus proving Grace Randolph wrong immediately. Favreau continued, the Book of Boba Fett is currently filming, as Deadline had reported earlier. And then we go into production after that with the Season 3 of The Mandalorian. So this is another point of confusion that some people, for some reason, don't understand this quote, which is weird. But look, what he's saying is literally, I don't know how you're confusing this point, but there are people out there who are like messing this up. The Book of Boba Fett is currently filming, as he's saying that. And then we go into production after that with the Season 3 of The Mandalorian. So when Boba Fett's done with production, then Mando 3 goes into production. For some reason, a lot of people thought that Mando 3 wouldn't go into production until December of next year, when Boba would be airing, which I don't know why you would think that. That's silly. Anyways, with the main character that we all have known and loved, played by Pedro Pascal, adds Deadline. By the way, this is another thing. I'm not even going to show her tweet, but Grace Randolph tweeted out that technically Jon Favreau did not say the name Pedro Pascal. He just said the main character that we all have known and loved, and she's using that as like which is desperately grasping for straws at this point, saying like, oh, he didn't say Pedro's name, that means he's still trying to secretly communicate with Pedro that he's replaceable because he just said the character that we all know and love instead of Pedro Pascal. It's like it's such a like, oh my god. Anyways, Grace Randolph, you're embarrassing. Anyways, in production after that with Season 3 of The Mandalorian with the main character that we all have known and loved, played by Pedro Pascal, adds Deadline. So there you go. And they came out with this brand new logo. It's the Book of Boba Fett. It basically looks like the Bad Batch and Clone Wars logo. It's got like the square brackets around it. And yeah, that's basically what's going on. There's going to be the Book of Boba Fett. And then we can go over here. And basically people are now saying the Mandalorian Season 3 release date, Disney listing implies 2022 premiere. Now, this is also kind of where that confusion came in, where some people were saying like, oh, is it not even going to start filming until after December? No. So basically, here's what's going on, okay? In a recent tweet by Julia Alexandra of The Verge, posted a list of dates from a preview kit of Disney Plus's upcoming 2021 releases. While the dates list several key Marvel and Star Wars series set to be released in 2021, such as The Book of Boba Fett and Star Wars The Bad Batch, it notably omits The Mandalorian Season 3. This seemingly confirms that The Mandalorian's third season will be releasing on the streaming service in 2022 or later. The full tweet with the list of dates can be viewed below. So basically just what they said. No Mando season 3 for 2021. This seemingly confirms it, and everyone has kind of come out saying like, yeah, it's not happening in 2021. Now, here's my thing. My initial thought was, well, it's true. It's not here on this listing, which very much would seem to kind of confirm that. I would argue that it's still possible that they could release it in 2021 because they're going to start production on it right after Boba Fett ends production. And Boba Fett is in production right now in December of 2020. So they have, you can film a show and then release it by, September of next year or something. So it's possible, however, maybe unlikely, right? Because they do have other Star Wars shows and Marvel shows. They don't want to drown Disney Plus in too much content all at the same time because you got to make this content last. It's all very expensive content, right? So it makes sense that it's not going to be until 2022. So that's a given, I guess, at this point. Now, here's my other thing, which of course, some people, especially Grace Randolph, basically are using this as even more evidence of like, look, see, it's not coming out until 2022. That proves there was a problem, and now maybe they've resolved it. Blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm going to explain why this is all probably happening, why we're probably actually taking a break. And it's actually for several reasons that all make a lot more sense than there's this mythic conflict that all evidence is shooting down. So here we go. So The Mandalorian Season 3 confirmed to film after Boba Fett spinoff. Okay, so we kind of got that. Blue. Here we go. Right over here. We have to go back to this page here, which was during the Disney investment meeting where they announced all those shows. So, of course, we have Ahsoka, right? We have Ahsoka saying, after making her long-awaited live-action debut in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano's story, written by Dave Filoni, will continue in a limited series starring Rosario Dawson and executive produced by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And then we have Rangers of the New Republic. Set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, this new live-action series from executive producers Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will intersect with future stories and culminate in a climactic story event. And then, of course, we now have the Book of Boba Fett. The Boba Fett will be set within the timeline of The Mandalorian and star Tamara Morrison as the titular bounty hunter, along with Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand, Robert Rodriguez, who directed Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian, a thrilling installment that reintroduced Boba Fett to the Star Wars galaxy, joins Favreau and Dave Filoni as executive producer. Okay. And then look, they said Season 3 of The Mandalorian will go into production next year. They literally added that on the Star Wars website. Okay? So it will go into production next year because we're in December and Boba Fett's in production right now. So January, February, Mando 3 is going into production. It's fine. They're literally trying to tell you at the very end here, Mando's coming back. It's fine. It's all part of a plan. And basically, here's what I'm trying to get at with this whole thing here. I've mentioned on here, and if you watch like the Den of Nerds, right? The Den of Nerds has talked a lot about the Filoni-verse, this series of shows that are all supposed to be interconnected, and it's all supposed to culminate in one big event, and that's basically an MCU style thing for Star Wars. And there's been rumors forever about it, and this is essentially what we're looking at. This description for the Rangers of the New Republic literally confirms this to be true. Intersect with future stories and culminate in a climactic story event. So basically what we're looking at is Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, and the Book of Boba Fett all being parts of one bigger story, one big MCU type story where they're going to have their own Endgame event or Avengers type movie at the very end of it, where you get all these characters coming back together for one big thing. Probably Thrawn. That's what everyone's kind of assuming right now. The big boss at the end is probably going to be Thrawn, which makes sense, I think, right? To most people. So why would Mando 3 be set to film after Boba Fett? Why is it not coming out next December? Is it because there's some crazy drama and they're trying to send Pedro Pascal a message that he can be replaced? Or is it because these 4 interconnected shows are all building towards one story event, and just like the MCU, where you need specific movies to come out first, and then that movie can come out after that because there's all these little tie-ins, these lines that are connecting them to eventually get to the big story. That same situation is playing out, where you need, after Season 2 of The Mandalorian, you have to have the Book of Boba Fett come out because something's going to happen in that one, and then you can have Mando Season 3 come out because then that one's going to show something that will then lead into the Ahsoka show, and it's all connected like that, just like the MCU, like we've seen this. So that is why the Book of Boba Fett is coming out instead of Mandalorian Season 3 in December. And by the way, a lot of this other confusion part has been because in the investors meeting, Kathleen Kennedy said the next chapter in the story of The Mandalorian is coming out on Christmas 2021. And everyone assumed that meant Season 3 of The Mandalorian, which, admittedly, it sounds like that's what she's saying. But if you take into account that Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, the Book of Boba Fett, and the Mandalorian TV show are all parts of one major story that are going to intersect into culminate in a climactic story event, then that makes a lot more sense now, the way she said it. The next chapter of The Mandalorian. So that means the Boba Fett show, the Rangers of the New Republic, the Ahsoka show. These are all chapters of a bigger story. Just like the MCU, every movie is a new chapter, and it's slowly led up into Thanos because, oh look, this movie has an Infinity Stone, and then that movie has an Infinity Stone, and then all of a sudden it's about those Infinity Stones. You're basically getting that same storytelling MCU type device here. So no, there's no stupid Pedro Pascal drama. I know people like the Denim Nerds and Josh over there, they've been told things by people. It's not true. It's just not, okay? It's ridiculous at this point to keep pushing it. It's very obvious why Boba Fett's coming after this, and then you're gonna get Mando Season 3, and then Rangers, and then Ahsoka, or whichever order it all comes out in. And then you'll probably either get one major show, or maybe even a movie, however they decide to tie all these shows together. But this climactic story event that they're talking about here, for all I know, that could end up being a movie. It could end up being its own show, just called Star Wars of the New Mando Ahsoka New Republic. It could be anything, really. But that's basically what this is all coming to. And that's really awesome. This is basically the future of Star Wars for Disney Plus. Now, having said that, simultaneously, while all of this is happening, while these 4 shows are going to be interconnecting with each other, you're going to have the Andor show and the Obi-Wan show that are essentially going to be acting as standalone little shows. They're not really part of this bigger, like, Filoni connected universe. They're kind of just like individual little projects that are probably only going to have that one season. Whereas these shows are all working together, you know, and this is like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's little pet project that was like, hey, you get 4 TV shows and do whatever you want in there. And I think we're essentially going to get like an Heir to the Empire ish type thing going on here. I think that's where it's all really heading towards. Other things, there's been rumors, there's been little whispers of potentially a Luke Skywalker TV show. Now, I know that this is really just because he showed up in the last episode, and we're all really excited about it. I'm going to say right now, I have not seen anyone substantial bring it up at all. So I would not get my hopes up too high for a Luke Skywalker show, but I also don't think it's impossible. One last thing though, and this is really interesting, and this kind of goes into like the whole interconnected story of it all, is because I don't know where this was heard, but I watched Den of Nerds' latest video covering a lot of this, and he mentions how Daniel Richtman somewhere, maybe it was on his Patreon, which, you know, obviously you have to subscribe to his Patreon to see this stuff, but apparently Daniel Richtman had said that he has already heard rumors that Mandalorian Season 3 will have a time jump, that it's actually going to jump forward in time, and that makes sense for several reasons. Mainly, first, you can get Grogu back in the show, okay, because here's the one thing. If Mandalorian Season 3 comes out next December and Grogu immediately comes back, then it's going to take a lot of power away from the moment that he left. But if you have to wait even more than a year, because we're going to get the Boba Fett show first, when the show comes back and it's been like, you know, they can say, oh, it's been, 4 years, 5 years, whatever they want really, since the last season, then it feels more substantial that Grogu left, and then you can get this kind of, you can get those two characters reunited, Grogu and Mandalorian. Also, it kind of opens up the gate for something else. As I've said on Twitter, I think, if you break down the timeline, Ben Solo is only 4 years old at the time of The Mandalorian right now, because it takes place in 9 ABY, right? But if they do a time jump, say 5 years, 10 years, whatever, Ben Solo starts training with Luke Skywalker at the age of 10. So if they manage to get to that year at least, then you kind of open up the gates to potentially a Luke and Ben Solo show, which, you know, obviously I'm very much speculating at this point, but that is something that I think a lot of people would want to see. And, you know, if these rumors, or at least whispers, not even rumors, these whispers of a Luke show turn out to be true, I can definitely see that being the avenue they use. You know, they can say, hey, Mando season 3 has a time jump, and then the Rangers and Ahsoka show, they all like move a little bit forward in time, a couple of years at least. Then you can have Luke and Ben be more of a part of it. You know, my only concern with the Luke show would be that, are you going to de-age Mark Hamill for the entire show? And can you make it, you know, some people are already complained about the way it looks, so it's like, can you make it look a little bit better? Or will you just recast? I'm fine if they recast, as long as they look somewhat remotely like Luke. That's okay with me. I don't really mind. But anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys think of all this. Are you excited for like this Filoniverse, this interconnected thing? What do you think it's gonna be about? My money is on Thrawn, because you know, I'm just thinking like timeline wise, like what's the biggest threat you can actually have at this time? You can essentially do Heir to the Empire, pretty much, right? Except you can just change a lot of the characters around. Instead of this character, it's Ahsoka. Instead of that character, it's Boba Fett or something, you know? So you can switch a lot of it around and essentially still do Heir to the Empire. It still kind of works, which I think is similar to what they're trying to do here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. And are you tired of the Pedro Pascal stuff? Are you tired of Grace Randolph? Are you tired of all of that? I'm tired of it. I feel like at this point it's clear that no matter how much evidence is mounted against that, she'll never admit she's wrong. That's the kind of person she's choosing to be. So okay, it doesn't matter. I'm done with it. Whatever. All right, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.